UFC superstar Jorge Gamebred Masvidal, dude. What's going on, baby?
What's up, everybody?
Alrighty, what up, everybody? Welcome into Man to Man Podcast. Today we're switching things up and talking man to woman. Please welcome on the show singer, songwriter, social media star Lauren Gray. We know you like the DJs.
I am okay.
$1.99 for a banana bag, bro.
Today's episode is brought to you by Revo Sunglasses, the go-to brand for eyewear that perfectly blends style and performance. Whether you're hitting the slopes, exploring the trails, or just soaking up the sun, Revo has got you covered with their cutting-edge polarized NASA lens technology that offers unparalleled clarity and protection. As we dive deeper into the holiday spirits, we've partnered with Revo Sunglasses to bring you an all-exclusive offer. Use promo code MANTOMAN20 at the checkout for an incredible 20% off on all your favorite Revo sunglasses. How much was that, Hoop?
That was 20% off.
You hear that, Christmas tree? 20% off on sleek designs, durable build, and advanced lens coatings that make every adventure clear and more vibrant. From vibrant urban streets
To the great outdoors.
Revo Sunglasses will have you feeling sharp and looking confident wherever you go. Visit www.revo.com, that's REVO.com, or click the link in the episode description to upgrade your eyewear game today. And listen, don't forget to use our promo code MANTOMAN20, that's MANTOMAN20 for the best deals on top tier eyewear. Trust us, your eyes will thank you later.
My eyes thank me right now.
Backwards, but Miley's is November 23rd, and then my wife's is November 25th.
You got double presents, you got to get right there.
I kind of like that, though. Get them out of the way.
Get them out of the way.
And,
But so close to Christmas.
yeah.
Well, hold up, that's Thanksgiving, right? When is
Yeah.
Thanksgiving?
26?
26th.
Yeah.
Or it's the third Thursday of every November.
Yeah, my wife's birthday's been on Thanksgiving. Like, probably we've been married for 4 years, been together for 5, and like 3 out of the 5 Thanksgivings have been her birthday. So yeah, but it's kind of cool. You kind of knock it out. But she also loves Thanksgiving. So like, and she hates cake for some reason. So like, pie on her birthday instead of cake. She kind of like loves it.
I feel like I haven't had cake in forever. You're not a sweets guy.
Yeah, I don't really.
I'm a huge sweets guy.
I am too. I was talking to him. It's like, you know, like ice cream, bro? Last night, I'm like, let's go get some Ginny's ice cream. He's like, no, I don't do sweets, bro. I'm like, we go to the doctor. Doctor would say it's okay to eat ice cream.
Nobody in my family's a sweets person except for me and my little sister Noah. Like, and we will go to, like, she was just in town for Thanksgiving, and we'll go to Whole Foods, and you know, like, they're not even that good, but like, you know, like the it's not the deli section, but where they have all like I live down in Franklin, so we go to like the Cool Springs one, and they just have like a little freezer full of like mochi cake slices, and we'll just, like I said, it's not even that good, but we'll like get like 5 things and just split it, and it's so good. Should I also not curse?
No, dude.
Okay, cool, great. Okay, great. Okay, awesome.
Our like motto is like, man to man, we don't know what the hell is going on half the time, dude. So we'll probably be all over the place. Braison Cyrus on the podcast, dude. Thank you for coming on the Man to Man podcast, man. Just chatting it up. But what you're talking about is what I got you for your birthday too. That cake with Happy Birthday Hoop Star. You have a nickname, dude?
Do I have a nickname? I mean, I've got a couple. Like, I grew up as Braz. So like, my brother Trace, we were Traz and Braz. My dad gave us those, and then the really weird one is B. If you know somebody who doesn't know me that well but is trying to like be super friendly, they'll call me B. And so I'm always skeptical of when people are like, "What's up, B?" And I'm like, "Okay, Braison's fine until you learn the real ones."
Yeah. I don't know. Well, dude, obviously, you know, congrats on all the success, man. Thank you for coming on again. And we're Nashville natives, man.
Oh, yeah.
I know you're born right outside of Nashville, and I know you've kind of bounced around from West Coast to, you know, up top in New York, and now you're back. How do you like being back, and kind of your overall, we always talk about the new Nashville, but how do you like Nashville as it is today?
I've bounced around even within Nashville quite a bit. I lived over in like kind of, I call it Berry Hill, but it was like deep Woodbine. You know, for the non-Nashville people watching, but that's an area that used to not be great, and then it was kind of like up and coming. And so it was over there, like near like the fairgrounds. And then I lived over in Green Hills for a minute, and then
That's where I grew up.
That's where we like grew up at the Green Hills YMCA in the mall.
Oh man, I lived right near that YMCA. I lived right off of Abbott Martin, and then now I grew up down in Franklin, so I'm back down there now. But I love it, and in Nashville, like it's kind of like LA where you never meet people. I'm flipping the script. I'm like, where are you guys from? Like in Nashville.
Yeah,
it's like every conversation. It's a lot of people from Los Angeles that are moving here, and it's so funny. I say this all the time. It's like when you meet people, they're like, "Oh, how long have you been here?" It's like, brother, I've been here.
Yeah.
I was on 8th Avenue when it wasn't 8th Avenue, or not 8th Avenue, 12th South. When it was just frothy monkey.
So that's where you grew up then.
Yeah, Green Hills, 12th South.
all over the place.
A couple years ago on White Avenue, over on 8th Avenue, right next to the soccer stadium. But it's just living in the city of cranes is what we call it. Stadium. Where is Thompson Station?
Thompson Station, it's like out in like the boonies, like 30 minutes south of Franklin. Or maybe not quite 30 minutes. There's the 840 now. But like whenever I was a kid, there was no 840. So it was like down Franklin Road, down Columbia. That's like the only way you're getting down there. But it was
the really long, skinny road.
Yep.
Down there past the church on the corner when I can't remember what church that is, where all the CPA kids used to hang out in the parking lot. You know?
Yeah. There, like when I grew up down there was like a Sonic, a Blockbuster, and a Wendy's. My older brother and sister, Brandy and Trace, my oldest siblings, they went to Grassland. And that was like a 30-minute drive every single day. But like the city's been built up so much that it's like even like I went to, you guys know Heritage?
Mm-hmm.
Down in like Spring Hill. That's where I went to school. And that was like built when I was a kid. So I was like one of the first people to go there. Miley too.
Yeah, we went to JT Moore. I went to Hillsborough freshman year, Lipscomb sophomore through senior. USN for you, and then we're back here.
Yeah.
He lived in Indy after school for a little bit.
Yeah.
I moved to Chicago because I got some family in Chicago, and everyone was moving. I went to Tennessee, moved to Chicago in 2019. COVID hit, was there for 10 months. Yeah. How are you as a student?
As a student, I was really good. I was like the only one. I was the only one that gave a shit about school. I loved school. I had a great time I went to high school in LA, and I loved it. I lived right. We kind of grew up in like Studio City, like the Valley. And so that was like got my license there. I loved it. And so, even my best friends to this day are dudes that I went to high school with in LA, and one of them lives here now. And one of them actually lives up in Chicago, but, I loved school. I was active in like, sports and like extracurricular stuff. I loved it. And it was more, even like certain I was never like a math whiz. I actually took all of my math classes one summer because I was just like, I don't have time. If I'm going to do well in other classes, I can't be also taking math. So one summer I knocked it all out. Yeah. Yeah. It was my mom's idea. It wasn't my idea. She was like, you don't need math. So just knock it out all in one summer, get the credits, and then you can focus on others.
And was that, go ahead if you're going to.
I was just going to say, growing up then actually in high school in California, how was that kind of compared to, obviously moving at an early age is kind of hard on a lot of people, but how was that for you personally?
So a lot of people don't know, but like we actually lived in Toronto for a brief time when I was in elementary school. My dad did some show there, and we lived there for maybe like 2 or 3 years. I went, we would try to like time it up with like the summer, but I did one full school year in Toronto. And so, I wasn't really bothered by moving around. I loved LA, especially like once I hit high school and got like my license and was kind of like, free to kind of do whatever whatever I was going to do and take myself places. And so, it wasn't bad. I know like a lot of people are like, oh, I moved around a lot and it was tough. It was tough mainly just because, we actually even moved quite a few times in LA, and in LA, it's like, you could be 20 minutes away, but it's like a totally different world depending on what part of LA you're in. But like, I loved it. And I think, a big, part of why I moved back actually had nothing to do with not liking LA. It was just, the living cost in LA is out of control. And for, bang for your buck, Nashville has it beat by a lot. And wanted to come back here. I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to, work in TV or anything. So I figured if I was going to work in music and write songs.
So growing up with just the last name that you obviously have, like, what were you doing at Pasadena? Was it Pasadena High School?
We lived in Pasadena for a little bit. I was actually too young to go to Pasadena High School. I went to a Christian school called Village Christian, which was in Pasadena. And my parents, we literally picked that school because they had a good basketball team. And I had just moved to LA and I wanted to play basketball, and they had a great basketball team.
We were just talking, we've been talking ball about this. So we started out as a basketball podcast. So.
And then I went to 2 different high schools in LA. I went to one called San Fernando Valley. And then I also went to a charter, kind of like, it was a super kind of pretentious art school called Champs. It was a charter school in Champs. It was like an abbreviation or an initialism for something, an acronym for something. I don't know what it stood for, but it was this artsy, they had like a film lab in like a church or like across the street. They had like, they put on like plays and did like art classes. Every day started with like what you were stoked about. And so, that school, that's where I met basically even all my friends who are still, friends with me today. But I loved LA, and if it wasn't for the cost of living, I might even still be living there. But I'm very glad I moved back here, mainly because I met my wife here. So yeah.
Let's go. I was going to say, what kind of influences did you have maybe at that time growing up to kind of like steer you down your path that you got into music? Was music always a passion for you?
Yeah.
Or is that just kind of a family thing? Or then I know you kind of like acting too growing up a little bit.
Yeah, so I was in like a lot of my friends' like short films and stuff. And then I also, and that was mainly just for like fun. It was like my friends were making a movie, and so I wanted to be in it, or they wanted me to be in it for whatever reason. And then I went to, I took 1 year of film courses at a film school in LA called New York Film Academy. And I had a lot of fun, but then I realized that's kind of all it was. I was like, I like doing it for fun. Like music is like what I was good at. And then like, I would like to think I was good at making, short films and stuff too. I probably wasn't, but especially, because I got yelled at anytime I was working on someone else's movies, I would always be constantly getting yelled at for doing the wrong thing, tying cables up wrong, just being a general nuisance on set. But like, for like a career, music, and I actually kind of weirdly fell in love with music through like EDM. I was a huge, ashamed to admit it, but like rave kid in LA for a while. Like, my really good friend Alec, he was a huge like EDM junkie, and I got like obsessed with like the producing side of that. I thought it was so fun to like, kind of like, toy around with that kind of music. And so learned kind of some production stuff out of that. And then once I moved back here, now I'm doing more of like the songwriting side. And I didn't know that was a job. Everybody in my family who works in music is an artist. And I was like, so I moved back here, started, writing music for myself, because I didn't know that, even, writing a song for this person, writing a song for that person was an option. And so I wrote a song called I'll Never Leave You. And that was kind of the beginning of the Nashville chapter of the journey.
We read something too about how you went to an MGMT concert. It was like your first concert that you went to.
So funny enough, I actually, it was a MGMT concert, I think in Laguna Beach. And it was crazy. My car got towed that day. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was like parked on the side of the road. Me and my friends walked like 2 miles to get to the beach where MGMT was playing. And then we walked 2 miles back and my car was towed. And so, but that day, my manager, Trey Allen, was their tour manager at the time. And he was at that Laguna Beach show. And then, over 10 years later, he's my manager in Nashville.
And he just moved back to Nashville with you.
So,
Is that how that happened?
He's actually, no, he's from Nashville. Me and him didn't meet until 2020.
The research that we did, you were, I guess, starring in these like acting films, like as a super young dude.
So not really. I was never a star.
Doc for your dad.
So that was for my dad. That was a traumatizing. Yeah, it was kind of man, it's a rabbit hole.
We just skipped all that. I was like, oh shoot, I thought he was a big actor before getting into.
No, not one of my, you know, favorite movies I was in, one of my really, really good friends in LA is a guy named Ryan. I'm plugging his movie now called Heels. It was an independent movie he made, and he just kind of made it for some like film festivals in LA and stuff. And that was my main acting credit. I don't even remember who I played anymore. I smoked a lot of weed at that point. But like, it was a, you know, I enjoyed doing it, but I also noticed even there, he got me to do that because I was basically playing myself. And you know, and you know, the market for people wanting me to play me has to be very, very small. And so you know, acting was something I enjoyed, but never knew I was never going to make a career out of it. And, you know, like, and then, you know, I did some, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. I did some.
That's exactly. You just described him as that before you even walked in. He
just
was
a
like,
jack of all
it's like, is he an
trades,
actor? Is he in music? He says jack of all trades. Exactly.
And then I did modeling stuff in like around college age kind of time. And then the last thing I did for that was in 2017, but that was mainly for a free trip to Italy. So, but
Yeah, you gotta finesse the free trip to Italy. Yeah. So now that you come back to Nashville, are you still doing just songwriting? And is it for CMT or who are you?
CTM. CTM.
Okay. What is that?
So CTM is a music publisher. Dude, I don't know how it works. I you know, they tell me to go somewhere, write a song, and you're writing with this person, or they take my catalog of songs. I write a song and say, oh, here's this song. And then they go, oh, we're going to pitch it to this artist. We're going to pitch it to this artist. And, you know, like I said, when I very first moved back to Nashville, that's probably what I would have wanted to do. Instead of releasing my own music, I probably would have rather have done that. But, you know, I didn't grow up in that side of the world. And you know, funnily enough, I didn't really know it was really an option until my father-in-law is a dude named Terry McBride. Brilliant songwriter, amazing guy. And he was actually in a big 90s country band called McBride and the Ride that used to go on tour with my dad. And then he, towards the late 90s, started writing for a band, I'm sure you guys, Brooks and Dunn. And he was touring with them, playing bass for them, writing their songs. He wrote, hey, play something country. Like, he wrote that song. And he really explained to me, like, you know, there's a whole side of the career where you can focus on songwriting and just, pitch songs to people and just write and make a living that way. And I was like, well, I wish I had known that 3 or 4 years ago.
Also the McBride family that's really well known here in Nashville. Like Emma McBride, like she was an artist.
Ashley McBride, Martina McBride. There's so many McBrides. Yeah, like it's so weird because I was at the BMI Awards a couple weeks ago. And I was like, how many McBrides are there in Nashville? It's like the most common name I'd never heard it in my life until I met my wife. And then everybody's last name is McBride. Also, I'm staring at your socks. Are we wearing the same socks?
Close.
Okay, very close.
But sock game is always.
I was like looking over. I was like, are we wearing the same socks? Yeah.
I like the style.
Oh, thanks,
the style
dude.
is good.
I love wacky socks.
I do too.
That's
I have
like
a whole drawer of them. That's kind of my thing. Kind of getting into the songwriting for me. You say you like growing up the EDM side of it. How do you transition to what you are kind of writing now and your kind of voice in music? Because it's definitely not the same.
It's not the same, but from a production side, it's similar. I feel like EDM was kind of like, in a weird way, like, I would want to like reverse engineer sounds. Like I would be like, how did they get this? Like, like how did they make this sound happen? And it's like, I learned how to use Pro Tools and Logic and, like all the programs and stuff. I'm still not that good at producing, but I loved, kind of exploring how the music was made. But like, I don't think I really, wrote music until I wrote I'll Never Leave You. And I wrote that with another guy who is a way better songwriter than me named Griffin House. And he was one of the first, people I met whenever I moved back to Nashville, and we were just like, let's write it. And I'll Never Leave You kind of just came out of me and him sitting in my living room and just writing it. And then, a song after that, and a song after that, and a song after that. And I was kind of on a roll where, writing songs was just kind of what I did at the end.
How quick was it taking you to just write a good song?
The quicker it was, the better song it is. If I spend more than probably about 2 hours on a song and I either lose interest in it or I start kind of sputtering and I feel like I'm forced, I throw it in the trash.
We've talked to people and we're like, dude, it's a banger song. It's super popular. Like, how long did I don't know, 30 minutes? Yeah.
That's
an hour,
All
like,
the best ones are so quick. I'm sure everyone's different, but it's like if it doesn't come out like that and it's not being like impatient or anything like that, it's just like, if it's a good song, it'll come really, really fast. That's kind of how I've always felt about it.
So you're writing songs, but you're also the artist at the same time.
Yeah.
It sounds like you do like writing songs a little bit more, but I feel like the rest of your family is like the artist, you know? So what do you like more?
I'm taking a break from artist stuff. I'm hoping to put out, one more kind of, one more song, hopefully sometime early next year. But, for me, my dad, he toured, from 1991 up until, still tours, but like, constantly, like gone for like months and months at a time from 1991 until 1998, 1999. And I was born in 94. So I was born like right in the middle of all that. And after COVID happened and all that, and then me and my wife got married and then we had our son and we just like sat down and we were like, I like don't want to tour. I actually had a tour coming up and I was so stressed about it. I was like, I don't want to leave. My son was only 5 months old and I was like, I don't want to do that. And then like I skipped that tour and then more kind of stuff started coming in and I was like turning everything down. Had a very, healthy conversation with my manager, with my wife, with everybody in my life. And I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't want to tour. I want to be there. I want to see my kid grow up. I don't want my wife, being in a house by herself. And so, even after talking with my father-in-law and just being like, I want to kind of do what you do. I'd rather, in a weird way, do what my father-in-law does more than what my dad does because, they did something so similar, but, my father-in-law was so present in my wife's life that it's like, that's really, special and important. I'm also lucky where I have 20 siblings, it feels like sometimes. So it was never like lonely growing up without my dad around, but it was like, I don't want to have as many kids as my parents have. So I would rather just be super present in my kid's life. And I'm glad that I'm not gonna, even a couple months ago, I was in LA for like 2 days and it was dreadful. I'm used to my kid being there all the time. I'm used to my wife being there all the time. And even just for 2 days, I was out in LA with my sister Noah, and it was like, kind of agonizing. And so I don't want to miss anything whenever.
It's got a good heart.
Yeah, I was going to say, so then pursuing the songwriting side of it, what's the best way to get your written work to people that actually will sing it? And what's that kind of process like?
I think it's like right from experience, but also be like very universal. And I'm sure, anybody would say that, but like, I think there's also a really great community in Nashville of people who are like, I've never gone on a write with somebody or, whether it's an artist or another writer. And it's felt like we're, either sometimes you don't vibe, but it never feels like there's a competition or there's any kind of like weirdness. Everyone's very open. And I think like, you kind of fall into a crowd in Nashville and you guys, you go, oh, this song would be great to write with this person. This song, I write a lot with Ben Kramer from Old Sea Brigade. And I think some of the best songs I've ever written in my life, I've written with him. And that was just kind of by happenstance of me and him. We was whenever I still lived over in Woodbine, he moved in, really, really close to me in that area. We ended up meeting and hanging out and just started kind of writing a ton of music together. And so I think like leaning into like that Nashville community is a huge part of it, but also, trying to, I think as like writers, you have like a hard time giving up your music sometimes. Like I'll write a great song and I'm like, I want to cut this. But then I'm like, No, like the more people who hear it and like if I'm a good writer, I can write things that translate to someone else. And so I think that's like a huge part of it. And then also just writing music that you would want to listen to. Like I've been in a few writes where I'm like, this isn't a song I want to listen to. And I I'll sit there and I'll try to help and whatever. But as writers, you can tell whenever someone else isn't vibing with you too. And so it's, if it's not a song you wouldn't want to listen to, write music you want to listen to. That's, kind of the main thing.
Going back to touring too, it's probably like you're more stressed out because you're going on tour and you're writing your own songs, or you kind of have some help with writing those type of songs because that guy is the artist.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that touring is weird for a few reasons. It's because it like, on some levels, it feels like a vacation. You're kind of like, oh, this is like super fun. I'm out here. I'm going from like place to place, seeing a lot of cool things and meeting a lot of cool people at shows, playing my music and hopefully getting a good response from audiences or whoever. But then it's like, there is this like work side of it. And my first tour I ever went on was with a band called Bird Talker, and they're still great friends to this day. And I watched them, I was opening up for them. I hadn't even put out I'll Never Leave You yet. And we were on like a whole US tour. I was gone for like 2 months. And watching them put in that work and put on a show, like there's such a difference between playing live and putting on a show. And these guys put on a show. And I'm like, man, I just don't know if I can do that. And I think like as artists, it's like, you see people and you're like, oh man, that guy's a better performer than me, or this guy's like a better singer than me, or this person can like put on that damn show. But then you go, oh, I write better. Like writing is something where you go, oh, I'm good at this. I'm better.
Also kind of like a dumb question that was, because I feel like everyone that goes on tour is just playing their best songs that's most popular or their like newest album.
Yeah. I think that like, I also think that there's like a problem as an artist where you fall out of love with your own music. And I know this from my own experience, especially from my dad. I mean, my dad, you move on, you want people to love what you're doing. And a lot of people love what you did. And it's such a weird feeling. And I, never really had that experience. I only ever put out my I'll Never Leave You in one album. And anytime I play in Nashville, it's a really great vibe. And I feel like I'm getting, a lot of love from people because it's a hometown thing. And because like, I get a lot of help from people like, Lightning 100, who's been great to me over the years, and they hear the song and then they want to come see the show, and it's great. But it's like, you keep on wanting people to love what you're doing. And then people are kind of like, do what you did. And it's a hard thing. And I think as an artist, that can be kind of like crushing. And then you second guess, like, can I still put out good stuff? Can I still put on a good show? Like, am I still doing what people want to hear? And I think that's, as a writer, it's easier to get outside of that because you're like, someone else is taking it and it's their baby now. So
let's move away a little bit from the work side of it. What do you like to do in your free time if you're not writing?
Woo, dude, I'm a video game junkie. My wife has rehabilitated me in some ways, but I am like a real, video game guy. My sister's fiance, Pincus, he's a German guy. I just met him a few weeks ago and he's so awesome, but he's got me back into Fortnite.
Dude, I've been streaming Fortnite clicks like all throughout the month of November when OG Fortnite came out. I don't have an Xbox, but I almost want to get one, dude. And I just
don't do it. I'm warning you. Don't do it.
What do you like?
Ooh. Oh, dude. Yeah, I love Diablo. Diablo is so fun. I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan. I've played all the games except for like the boomer Elder Scrolls, like the first 2 games, but like, from 3 all the way up to 5, I'm a huge fan, huge Nintendo fan. That's another thing. But like, in my free time for fun, board games, we were talking about that earlier too. I love playing, D&D, board games, video games with my friends. I like it because it's, in a weird way, it's not creative. And it's kind of, board games and D&D stuff, that is creative, but it's creative in a way that's very different. Yeah. And I like, I'm super competitive. Like even from back whenever I played basketball, it's just like we will fight. Me and my friends, we will fight over board games, over video games. It will turn violent, physically violent very, very, very fast.
Alrighty, guys, we're taking a quick break to tell you about what we've got going on this Sunday, December 17th, our 4th annual Man-to-Man Christmas Clothing Drive.
Yes, sir.
It's going to be a great time. This is our 4th year, like I just said. And if you contributed in the past couple of years, thank you so much for doing so. If you have no idea what this is, each and every year around December time, usually about a week or so before Christmas, we collect trash bags of clothes. We sell merch online where all the proceeds will go toward things, like sandwiches, tote bags, gloves, anything else that we need to get at the grocery store to kind of feed these guys. We have 1 week to do so. And if you're watching this on Tuesday, you have 6 days to donate clothes. So we're kind of on a time crunch here. If you have extra clothing that you just absolutely do not use in your closet, throw them in a trash bag. I'll drive around town. Liam will drive. I don't know. You'll probably not drive around. Are you going to drive around town, dude?
Maybe a little.
Maybe
a couple
ain't done it
nights.
before. I'll be the lead on this. I'll drive around downtown or wherever you're at, anywhere in Nashville. If it's not too far, pick up some clothes. If you want to drop trash bags of clothes on my doorstep, shoot one of us a text personally. I'll shoot you over the address. But each and every year, like I said, we just kind of put a smile on these guys' face. And then if you're on the naughty list, dude, this is the one thing that can maybe get you over that hump to the nice list. So the merch that we have, we should probably touch on that just a little bit. We have 3 new items that will be limited time only in the merch shop. Click the link in the episode description to check those out. They're 2 black hoodies. It's got our logo on there, but the podcast is either red or green in Christmas colors. And then we have a really cool beanie that's embroidered in our Man-to-Man podcast logo. So click the link in the episode description to go check those out. Let's end the year strong. And again, appreciate you guys who have helped us in the past. And we look forward to doing it again this year and documenting it all. And happy holidays to everybody. We are clearly in the Christmas spirit here. Anything else?
That's it. Just get your damn merch.
Get your damn merch. Let's get back into the pod. I just have a quick question about I'll Never Leave You. Did you expect that song to blow up? And then after that, did you still have the feeling of I love the numbers and it's very sexy and attractive to go try to make more music and be the artist? Yeah. But you kind of just dialed it back again and kind of just, I'm going to just songwrite it.
I expected it to do well because I think there were people who go instinctively they go, oh, this person is from, Cyrus family. Let's check it out, whatever. And that, in a way that only takes you so far. And then, I got very, very fortunate, was able to do the Tonight Show, and that helped out a lot. But, it really didn't start doing well until, Spotify put it on playlists and people started sharing it more. I guess there was more from the natural spreading of it more so than the novelty of it. And so I'll never forget, I think one of the biggest spikes it ever had was Emma Roberts posted the song in her story. If it wasn't her, I'm going to be so embarrassed, but it was someone like that. But I'm pretty sure it was her. And I was like, why did this just I'm getting tagged in this all the time? And she put it in either a playlist or posted on Instagram or something. And so it's the more the song spread and actually people loved it, it was being used on Instagram reels and people oh, I'm hiking with my dog. Here's me hiking. And they would use it in the background. It was more stuff like that. But if anything, even to this day, it's still a song I'm extremely proud to have written. I love it. And I listen to it from time to time and get nostalgic for it in a weird way. It's it in a lot of ways, 2018 was the best year of my life. And
that was your debut single, correct?
Yep. First song ever. And it was, I was, I wrote it in 2017, but I recorded it in 2018, went on tour with Bird Talker in 2018, met and got engaged to my wife in 2018, played the Tonight Show in 2018.
How'd you meet your wife?
So okay.
Because he's going to go, I know you want to talk.
Okay. You know what? Okay. I've kept the ruse up long enough. We met on a dating app. And so,
we're a couple of single dudes.
Yes. So I figure her, she mainly says, oh, say we met somewhere else because I don't want my, grandparents think. I'm assuming her grandparents probably won't hear this. So, but we met on a dating app. Yeah. They, We met on a dating app, and it was, I had actually gotten out of a very, very long-term relationship and was single for about a year. And I told my best friend, my drummer, he lived with me at the time, Blair Winters. I was like, I just want to meet a beautiful girl who's vegan with black hair and tattoos. And then we met that week, and I was like, holy moly. And then we went and like had lunch, and then we were just kind of hanging out, seeing movies. I'll never forget, we were going to go see The Incredibles 2, but they were out of tickets, so we saw Hereditary instead. And she hated it and cried and was very upset. And then maybe like a week later, I went on my first stint on the road with Bird Talker. And I was like, a girl like this, she's going to get, I'll be gone, out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. And well, I was worried because she was very like, she played her cards so well. I was like, I'll be gone for 2 weeks. She'll, whatever. And then I came back, kept hanging out, went on another stint. And then she was like, I'll watch your dogs while you're on tour. And then I was like, well, since you're watching my dogs, why don't you just like move into my house? And then I was on the road, and I was like talking to my mom. I was talking to my pals in the band. And I was like, I think I want to propose. And then I had like no money. So I was looking for rings on Etsy, and I was like, this is a placeholder ring for now. But they have this song called My Lover, and it's the greatest song of all time. It's like a song I'll listen to. If I want to cry, if I'm in a crying mood, I'll listen to it. But I was listening to their song that night at a show, and I was like, I'm doing it. I'm proposing. And so clicked check out on Etsy, and then I had my friend Blair go scoop it out of the mailbox because she was getting like my mail and stuff. And so, and then a year later, whenever we got married, Bird Talker played that song, My Lover, at our wedding. Yeah.
Sweet. Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. We were just trying to figure it out too. I told Liam I got back on Tinder last night, and I deleted it before I went to sleep.
Yeah.
And they got like their Instagram bios, on the second photo or whatever. And I didn't fucking notice, Griff. You'll think this is funny too, but I'm Instagramming, DMing these chicks off the Man to Man podcast account, and we have people that are running our social medias. Oh shit, dude,
Yeah.
So I deleted the app. So I'm still just trying to. We always talk about let's just go to Trader Joe's at 5 p.m. and try to figure it out.
So that was me and my wife's fake story, was that we met at Whole Foods because we were both vegan at the time, and it made sense. Like, where are you going to run to a vegan? Probably at Whole Foods. And so, but that was our ruse. Was we met at Whole Foods and people just bought it, and then now we met on a dating app. I don't remember which one. I would plug them. It was one of the. It was either Bumble or Hinge. It was one of those two.
Yeah, Tinder's just like the hookup app.
Yeah.
And I was just 2 a.m. You guys left last night. We lost a lot of money on online roulette, and I was just like, do I get lucky? No, I don't, Andy. What are you doing? Let's go to bed and call it a night.
Man.
You got one? I was curious about the Jimmy Fallon.
Go ahead. That's good.
I'm super curious about that because it's like your debut single,
Yeah.
and then what's the connect there? But you were also on another really late.
I did. That was Colbert during COVID, and it was pre-taped. So we pre-taped that ourselves and then sent it, and then that was on the Colbert.
Yeah, how was Jimmy Fallon, dude? I love Jimmy Fallon.
Dude,
and Kimmel.
So it was really cool. My wife had never been in New York. We did it. Today might actually be the 5-year anniversary of when I was there. Wait, is today the 12th? Okay, we're almost there. So it was almost 5 years ago. My wife had never been to New York.
Come out on the 12th.
Yeah, oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, so that's actually the anniversary of I'll Never Leave You. And my wife had never been to New York. They're decking everything out for Christmas. We were at like the Rockefeller Center. We walked everywhere, and Bird Talker, the singer, Zach and Danny, they came with me and did the song with me live. Man, the whole thing's kind of a blur. It was really cool, and I think this is right, but Miley was actually doing SNL. I did it. I think the episode I was on Friday, and Miley was there doing SNL. And so I actually didn't even know she was there. I live here. She lives in LA. Wires get crossed. We weren't communicating. And then she was like, oh shit, I'm upstairs. You want to come up here and hang out? And I was like,
Oh, so it is this in the same building. It's right outside the Rockefeller Center.
Yeah. And so we were like, I was like, oh shit. And so I was like, I didn't even know you were going to be here. And so she was doing SNL, I was doing that, and that was really cool. And I'm actually not sure if she'd even met Stella at that point, but it was such a cool experience. I love New York. It's, if I could live anywhere other than Nashville, it'd probably be New York. I love it here, but I love it there. But it's, just being there and, being with my fiance, being with the dudes in Bird Talker, and, playing this song and kind of like doing something new. It was this really like cool experience. It was just like, and I'm glad that, she was there with me. And that was probably the coolest part of it. And they had like a bunch of Milk Bar, Milk Bar, the crazy cookie company. They had like a bunch of those cookies in their green room. And I didn't know that they were for everyone. And so I put them all in my backpack and took them on the plane. And and they were like, did you take all of these? And I was like, yeah. They were like, oh, okay, well, those are for everybody.
As a follow-up to that, like, obviously, were you nervous? Because it sounds like, again, you're talking about being the songwriter and kind of being on the, behind the scenes a little bit.
So I was mainly nervous because they were like, the song has to be 4 minutes. And I was like, the song's 4.5 minutes. And they were like, well, it can't be. You got to do 4 minutes. So we had to speed it up. We kind of had to push some parts of it where it's like, oh, maybe there's like a little musical break here, but we had to cut that out. And it was just like, so I was worried I was going to get winded. I was worried I was going to like screw up, but they were like, oh, you can do another take if you want. And then I was like, obviously I want to do another take just because I was like, I want to have like the best possible. And everyone was like, no, you did great. So like, don't do another take. They were like, because they would use the second take if I did it.
I didn't. Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, because all that is pre-recorded in terms of.
They do it in like the afternoon and then air it that night. So if you screw up or you cry or you do something, you break down in tears on stage, you can do one more go at it.
How many people are in the crowd?
Man, maybe. Man, I'm so bad with like guessing stuff like that. Like probably more than 100-ish, somewhere in like 100, 200 maybe. There's going to be like 20 people there and I have no idea what I'm talking about, or like 500. But like it was like not huge. It's like, probably somewhere between like 100 and 200. And then like, you're also like worried, what if they don't clap at the end? What if they just look at you confused?
Button, like,
no, not that I saw.
There's not.
Not that I saw. I was like, what if they don't clap? And like, what if they just look at me confused?
I could have swore there was a clap button for all
there might
shows,
be.
Right?
I'm like looking at the crowd and there's like kind of, like, I guess you would call it the bleachers. And, you can't really see. There's like a little ceiling kind of thing. So maybe the sympathy clap button is up right above you where you can't see it. But I think maybe there's like a laugh clap button or a producer being like, clap, go ahead, clap, the song's over.
What's next for you? What are you working on? Is there stuff that you're working on now or you're trying to do some
writing all the time? 2020, actually it's 2024, right? 2024 is just writing all the time. And there's certain people that I'm so excited to write with that I have on the books right now. And, it's a whole new world and it's something that, I've been kind of gunning for a publishing deal for like, maybe like a year or two and trying to make that transition. And then it's like, now that it's happened, it's like, oh shit. Like now it's kind of like new stuff's coming and I don't really, know where, I am going to go with it, who I'm going to end up writing with, who I'm really going to connect with, like what artists are going to cut a song. And it just becomes like, big or it doesn't do well. And it's so like 2024 will be like working my ass off, writing all the time. And then just, kind of reconfiguring like where do I fit into this whole thing.
Do you have like goals that you've kind of set for you for the next year? Is that kind of how you do it? Or are you kind of just easy flow? Let's just
easy flow, but just like, I want 2024 just to be like learn as much as possible. Like write with people who are so much better than you that you have no choice but to keep up. And so, that's kind of how I like to do most things. I was on tour with Bird Talker and I was like, these guys put on a hell of a show. I got to put on just as good of a show. And then like, basketball, there'd be a guy who was, just crushing it. And I'd be like, I've got to step up to compete with my own teammate who's this good. And, there's great writers at CTM. There's great, writers everywhere in Nashville. And so it's just like getting myself in the room with people who are like 10 times better than me so I can get 10 times better than where I'm at right now. So 2024 is just, for me, writing as much as possible, learning as much as possible, and just, trying to figure out where I kind of fit in Nashville.
What would you say the biggest difference is between being an artist and a songwriter for a publishing deal? Or a publishing, is that how you say it? Publishing deal,
publishing company. Just being a full-time songwriter is like, there's more pressure and less pressure in some ways. If you write something and it doesn't do well, you're less attached to it, and you maybe take it less personally. But then there's also kind of this hustle to stay busy. You're doing a lot of things for yourself, where as an artist, your label would do it, or your manager would do it, or your bandmates, or whoever, depending on if you're in a band or whatever. But as a writer, you get into a room with somebody to write, and you're responsible for what happens then.
Like, you still have expectations, but it sounds like it's more on you to kind of set up those meetings, or do they at least set up meetings for you guys?
Yeah, my publishing, company, they set that all up. They send you an email and they're like, this person wants to write with you, or we want you to try to write with this person. And then you kind of, you're, especially like whenever you're a writer in with an artist, you're responsible for what happens that day. And it's like, I want to write something good while also giving you something that you're happy about, and that I'm happy about, and that you're proud of, and that you want to go, knock out on stage, whether it's the song playing on the radio, or you're playing it live at a festival or at a show, like writing a song that you are just as proud of to play as I was to write.
Right, because you're still on a timeline, right? Like, you're either getting, I imagine you're not getting called in the middle of like a songwriting process.
Yeah.
It's already like, this is like your project. Let's try to get done at the end of the month.
Yep. Or end of the day, depending on how many songs, like a lot of people come in here and they're like, oh, they're coming from New York, they're coming from LA, they're coming from the UK. You've got, they're only here till the end of the week. So let's write something, or 2 or 3 or 4 songs, whatever, before they leave. And so there's a time crunch, but it never really feels like that. Cause when you're writing, if you're vibing and it's actually going to work out, then you don't feel like you're on a time crunch. It's that thing of like, it's flowing, you're bouncing off with them, you're bouncing ideas off of them, they're bouncing ideas, and you're making each other better. And it just happens really quick. But there's always times, it rarely happens to me lately, but where you feel stuck and you're like, I'm not vibing. I'm like, the song's not working out. Let's just like kind of run out the clock and then not book another session. But
you hear all the time, like, hey, I want to write for a certain artist, maybe, right? Or do you find yourself trying to write for artists, or it's more just the song and then you go and say that could be really good for that artist?
That's the great thing about working with somebody like CTM is they know you, they know who you're going to write with, they know your music, they know how you write, and they go, well, this is what this person's looking for, or we think that this is what this person needs. And it's, you obviously have like aspirations of like, I want to write for like, I'd love to get a crazy cut with this person or that person in this genre or that genre. But like, I would much rather write the song that takes someone from, level 2 to level 1 than write something for someone who's like already massive.
So you don't have like maybe like a dream collab or like dream artist that you...
Dream collab would be more... Yeah. Dream collab for me would be like probably my favorite songwriter of all time is Conor Oberst from The Bright Eyes. And so like, trying to write something with him would be so cool. Like, that's like, but then it's also like, I don't want to get like, blinded by being with him and then make myself look stupid and be like,
and something like that. Would you have connections to do something like that, just being with the publishing company that you're in?
If they were like, do you want to write with Conor Oberst, I would be like, not yet. I would be like, not yet. I was like, give me a few more years and then we'll talk. Cause I am like, I want to learn all this next year. I do not want to learn that way. I'm like, I want to go and hopefully stand toe to toe. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm kind of curious about the cameo on Hannah Montana.
Dude, me too. I don't even remember. I'm like,
Yes.
I was like 11 or 12, or no, I was older than that, but I was like 14. I have
How
no
many
memory.
episodes were you?
Probably just one. And if I even made it into the episode, I'd be surprised. I was probably like in the background, like standing around not knowing what to do. But like, I think that was literally just an extra thing. Like, I think I was just like standing in like the background eating.
So you didn't even like acting, like you did the skits. You're like, I'm gonna stick to the skits.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
The cameo's not after like, hey Miley, like, can I get on?
Oh man, never. I would never do that. I would just because, like, first of all, like sets like that are such a weird environment. It's like
Was that now out in LA at the same time that you were out there for high school?
yeah. So though I that would have been like my freshman year of high school, and also I was probably also like, I don't want my friends at school to see this. So so maybe I'll just like be somewhere and maybe like I'm out of like, you know, the range of the focus of the camera. It's kind of blurry. I'll have plausible deniability later on. Cause also this was like 2008. So I looked very 2008. I had like the swoop hair. Yeah.
Justin Bieber haircut.
Yeah. I was shopping at Hot Topic and, you know, and so hopefully that's, you know, blurry, and they'd be like, who's that emo kid? And I'd be like, that's someone else. That's Trace.
That's an extra.
That's Trace, man.
That's funny. I was just trying to think, what else, man? What else is funny? How many times has your dad talked about Old Town Row, you know, breaking numbers on Billboard 100?
Man, he brings it up a lot, but not as much as you think. He was stoked on it. And you know it's funny? That actually happened. And what year was that?
2018.
2018.
Yeah,
so I was already back here. I was doing my own thing. And the person I really feel bad for is anybody who was he was still living in LA at the time. So I'm sure my mom heard a lot about it. I'm sure his manager, he would probably have to call them in the middle of the night and just be super stoked on it. But luckily, you know what? Okay. Weird story. It kind of relates, sort of. This is kind of how my dad is. But this was like Christmas time right after, it was after Old Town Road. That was probably like summer of 2018. And then I did Fallon around this time. So like December. We were sitting there talking about, it's kind of like the year, whatever. Like I just gotten engaged and all this stuff. And then, you know, my mom was kind of talking about like the Tonight Show thing. And I think not exactly this, but Stella said something to my dad, like, oh man, like, what did you think about Braison on Tonight Show? Wasn't that so cool? And my dad was like, oh yeah, it was awesome. But the best thing I've ever seen Braison do, man, there was this one basketball game where he was on fire. He was shooting threes. Everything was going in. Crowd was going nuts. And it's so funny because my dad, those are like the accomplishments he latches onto. I could literally, that dream right we were talking about, I could have the number one song as big as Old Town Road, bigger than anything else in the world. And my dad would be like, that one basketball game, man.
That's good.
What about writing? We got a couple more for you.
Yeah.
Man. Thanks for hopping on. What about just writing for like rappers and hip hop?
Dude, I would love to. I'm a huge hip hop fan. I would love to. I would probably be more on the production engineering side of it, but like I would love to. I'm a huge fan. You know, I met one person I'm a huge fan of their, you know, production work is Mike Will. And you know, he did a bunch of stuff for Miley back in the day. And he's on the production side, writing side, just as like an artist side, like the sounds that guy gets, he's honestly musically one of my heroes. I love that guy. And so I would love to. Yeah. I don't know how much of that's going on in Nashville these days, and maybe go out to LA or down to Atlanta.
Dude, like you hear the 808 beats like in these country music songs, like in Morgan Wallen's hits. And like, and he's collabing with, who was it, Lil Durk?
Yeah.
Like, Stand By Me, those are bangers.
There's crossover that you don't know that's there, but you can tell that it's there if you're a consumer of it.
I'm really excited for people like, you know, people like Jelly Roll. I feel like he's such a breath of fresh air. And it's like, you know, he's doing, you know, he's doing country, but it's like really different. I wasn't really familiar with him until I heard I knew who he was. And weirdly enough, my brother Trace was obsessed with Jelly Roll like like 5 years ago.
We saw him sometimes like pop into the Green Hills YMCA with Starlito, dude.
Yeah, he was out there, but we never knew.
Yeah.
He never knew who he was.
Even that song, I think it's called "Son of a Sinner," is so good, and it's like, and I think that there are people like that who are kind of, even like Lainey Wilson, like breathing some much needed fresh air into kind of something that to me personally was starting to feel a little bit stale. I think that there are people like that are like, oh, this could like make country cool again, like Orville Peck, Midland, Jelly Roll, like people like that are like, we kind of need that change. And I'm not a huge country guy. I like writing it. And I like writing a song where it's like, I wrote this as a pop song, you can country it up. And that's usually the way I work in that department. But, I'm excited to like see where it kind of goes. Cause it seems like there's a crossroad between like kind of the stale country that I'm not super huge on and kind of this like new people that are really crushing it. And so I'm stoked.
You got a shit ton of followers on social media, man. Give us some advice.
There's too many. I wish I had less. I used to be anonymous. I was looking back through my old Instagram and I liked my own pictures, which is awesome. I miss those days. I miss liking my own shit. Like, and like
I remember those days, man.
And like shit, like I would, post shit that was just so weird and like so dumb. Luckily, I don't think I have to go back and like delete or archive anything. I mean, like, like old girlfriends, whatever, I've already done that. But but just even like that, the cringe of like what I used to post on Instagram is like insane. Drawings, weird videos, just like, it was way more fun. I mean, I made my Instagram account in 2011. Yeah.
We were on that first wave of,
Dude, but it sounds like you have a really huge community that kind of rocks with you and follows your journey and even your plant journey or whatever you got going on in the backyard.
It's fun. I used to be so active on social media, but like I'm with my wife and my son all the time. And we don't post my son's face. We used to, we don't do it anymore because, you never know who's like looking at your stuff, but like, people, I think whether you're well known or not, I think posting your kid's face is probably not a great idea. Like the internet's for everybody, and it's like, but I miss being like really active. I used to post like a real actual post every day. It'd be like on my stories, just kind of talking and like whatever. And it's like, I miss it. And I feel like, there's certain stuff that I do on Instagram where it's like, oh, people are really stoked to see family stuff, but it's like, we like cover our kid's face with like the basketball emoji. And it's like, well, we're kind of missing some of it. And it's like, I'm kind of stoked to, while I'm writing, find a way to like actually make like content and like and not like, doing anything like super, crazy or anything, but just like, talking to people, posting shit I think is funny, posting shit I think is cool, maybe drawings, maybe unfinished songs, whatever it is. But like,
would you ever like post something that you're writing on and sing it and get feedback from your fans, or is that kind of against the publishing?
I would say it doesn't violate the rules of it, but I think like, there's something about that where if I'm writing a song for someone else, I don't want someone to hear me do it. I want someone, I want, someone to like represent their vision for the song for the first time. I don't want someone to be like, oh, I heard Braison singing that song on his Instagram Live, and now this person's cutting it. It's like, well, I kind of took away their first chance to like release a song. And so.
Is there one thing in the Cyrus family that no one really knows, and you guys got a competitive edge against one another? Or
that my family doesn't know, or that people don't know about us?
People that are watching about the Cyrus family that can tell us.
It's kind of hard to like. I feel like everybody knows everything.
All the reality TV shows. Did you guys have a reality? Did your dad had a reality?
Dude,
TV
I
show?
think, man, I have no idea. I was in high school at the time, and I think they were like maybe filming it, and they were gonna do it, but I was like not down. I was like, no, I'll go to like my friend's house or something and like be out of here. But I don't know if that ever actually like came to fruition.
Like, are you guys gonna all get back together for Christmas and kind of just chop it up again?
I mean, maybe. I think they're going to be in LA, and I do not want to have an LA Christmas. I did enough of those for 10 years whenever I lived there. But, man, something that like nobody knows. Nothing, man.
Like a weird family tradition or something.
Weird family tradition. Man, we've tried so many family traditions and they've all failed. They've all like, we did it like 1 year and then it's like, we'll do like sweaters for Christmas, or we'll do whenever we were kids, I guess our Christmas tradition was like go to church and then we would come home and like, my dad would play like Silent Night and Rudolph on guitar, and then we would like open up one present before Christmas morning, and then it was like, but then my dad hated that because it's like we're all just like, okay, wrap it up, quit singing, we want to open our present, we've heard Rudolph already. Okay.
Real quick, in those types of households that we've kind of grown under, different families that just play music all the time in their house, how serious is it playing music inside the home, or it's like, Dad, shut up,
dude,
or like someone's playing piano, you're cool with
man,
it?
you know what, it's really weird. I feel like this is kind of like maybe people wouldn't expect it, but like we didn't really ever, none of us took lessons for anything. None of us, the idea of it being like pushed or encouraged was like very, limited. Like I think like my parents were very encouraging for like anything we wanted to do, but like the idea that there was just like guitars, like first of all, my dad's left-handed, so we couldn't play his guitars even if we wanted to. But like the idea that if there was like guitars laying around everywhere, a big piano somewhere, we were all like writing and singing all the time. We really didn't. It was like, I was like very open with like what I wanted to do with my life, and my parents were very, very accepting of anything I ever wanted to do. There was a time where I was going to be a comic book artist. There was a time I was going to go to film school. There was a time I was going to, do lots of different stuff. My parents were always very encouraging of anything I wanted to do. But like, we were big sports house. My dad loved sports. And a lot of people don't know this. My dad was like a collegiate baseball player getting looked at to go into the majors. And he, so he loved sports. That's why the basketball story for Jimmy Fallon was, that's why it's his favorite accomplishment of mine, is because he was like, my brother didn't really play sports. None of my sisters played sports. And then I was kind of the only one that was even played sports. And so my dad's like, finally, yes. He didn't even like basketball, but he was like, I'll take what I can get.
You guys Titans fans?
The Titans weren't a huge part of my childhood because my dad wasn't a Titans fan. And I actually, I could be wrong about this, but when did the Titans move from Houston, the Oilers become the Titans?
I think it was to 99, and then they moved from Memphis to Nashville.
Yeah. It was too late for us.
I want to say it was 97 is when they got the bid to move. Then they moved to Memphis.
Yeah.
It was like that 98, 99.
Yeah. My dad grew up in Kentucky, and then my dad also spent some time as a kid in Minnesota. And so he's a big Vikings fan. So is every one of my dad's side of the family. It's
Josh
kind of
Dobbs. Shout out Josh Dobbs. Last one?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Man to man. What is the key to success?
You tell me.
Yeah.
I mean,
trying to figure it out, dude.
If I had to guess now, the key for me, I think, is like separating personal success from like professional success, and being kind of okay with like never actually, getting somewhere that's good, rather than and being open to like not ending up where you thought you were going to end up, and like I think like my biggest thing is the first thing I said, where like separating personal success from professional. I think I've seen so many people where it's like they're super entwined. And I was having a write with somebody, and I was telling them about how I wasn't going to tour anymore. And they were like, oh man, that's like, so like, are you bummed about that? Like whatever. And I was like, dude, I like having a family and having a kid. That's like my number one dream. I don't want to make a family, I don't want to like, balance a family in my career. I want my career to support my real goal, which is to be a good husband and dad. And so separating that, like that professional side from the personal side, like have your personal goals and your professional goals, like, so as, you know, church and state, as you might say, like, it's like, and don't ever, you know, also I think is a big part with, like, you know, with my dad and I'm sure a lot of other dads are like this. Whenever you get home, you're at home, and work stays outside the door. And I work from home a lot. I'm like, you know, mixing songs, writing songs, whatever, but like whatever is happening out there in the office or in the studio or wherever you're working, leave it out there. And obviously if you're, you know, fortunate like I am to have a wife or a partner, or whoever, talk to you about like what's going on, you know, that's amazing. But like, you know, keep the successes and the failures at work, and just like if your family is happy and you're happy, that's like the most important thing. I think, like, you know, you'll never be happy if they're blended too much. I know early on in my dad's career, that was a huge thing, is like his personal happiness was so tied to his professional success. And he ended up learning later kind of like what I just said. And I feel like that's kind of what I learned on my own too, is that like if you can really separate those two things and be, you know, personally successful and, you know, professionally successful, you know, you're actually one block even kind of lifts the other in a way. If you're super happy, you work so much harder, you know? And so I learned that, you know, probably in 2023, that was probably my biggest, you know, lesson.
Some of the best advice.
Yeah.
That's one of the better answers that we've heard.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one.
No, that was good.
Good,
That
I
was
winged it.
good. No,
Fantastic.
A lot of people do get kicked. A lot of, even me, dude. Like, just where I work from home too, and just like, all right, man. Like, what's my mood gonna be like? If it's bad at work, then it's just gonna translate out into whatever I got going on in my life. So, Braison Cyrus, thank you for coming on.
Dude, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
appreciate it, man.
I love
Yeah,
it. Let's
thank
do it
you.
again sometime.
Appreciate
It was
Yeah,
great.
likewise, man.